Greetings and konnichiwa, and welcome back to the Onyx Tavern Vlog series on Russia Sentai ToQger. Today we will be covering Station 17, The Sky After the Rain. Now I'm going to go ahead and say that, so far, this is probably my favorite or second favorite episode of the series, the other being the introduction of the Emperor of Darkness, Zet. So, this episode's got a lot of good things going for it. It sets up a new character within the series. It just does a lot of interesting things that I want to go ahead and cover here today. But basically, this episode is the debut of ToQger, or ToQger. I'm still a little unsure about the counting and pronunciation, but it's a me thing and not anything else. But it is its introduction to the series. We picked up from Station 16, where the conductor has the app changer and what they're going to go ahead and do with it. So there's not too much of a plot to really go into other than the conductor says we need a 6th ranger. The rangers somehow believe that this worker on the rainbow line is going to be the next ToQger, and Wright makes it a point to convince him to be the next ToQger, while at the same time they're being attacked by Zet on one front and Schwartz on the other. So, not exactly a plot as much as things happen throughout the episode, but let's go ahead and cover a number of things from this episode. First, I want to go ahead and bring up what's going on with Zet. Again, Zet's kind of my favorite character right now. I think he's a good villain, at least from the way he's been portrayed, a lot better than, say, Schwartz. At this point in the series, he's really getting fed up with the Baron and everybody who are trying to push him into marriage and push him into darkness and all that. And he's just kind of getting fed up. He finally lashes out at the guys. And I really like that about him, that he's being tested to his limits with his quote-unquote loyal subjects. But of course, Schwartz looks at this as a great opportunity for him because he has his own plot, which I don't know if he's trying to take over for the Emperor right now, do something with his own agenda. There's a line in the series where he says that he wants to take over with trains instead of darkness. Now, that could be a translation error, but it seems to me that he thinks that trains are the way to conquer the world as opposed to darkness. And considering it's mass transit, hey, that could work. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting comment that he makes within the episode. But yeah, so that's kind of what Schwartz is up to. That's what Zet's up to. And nothing particularly new, but it's always good to check in on the villains and see what they are doing. Now, of course, the focus of the episode is we are introduced to the new ToQger, who, for simplicity, I'm going to refer to him in his name that we get later in the series, Akira. Unfortunately, that was spoiled to me, so I'm going to spoil it to the rest of you guys. However, it is interesting to note that in the episode, his name is Zalam, or Zaram, depending on your pronunciation, which, if you believe Ranger Wiki, is Arabic for darkness. So that's pretty cool, and there's an etymology with his name Akira, with his full name, basically. So just interesting tidbit of information right there. So Akira basically is a shadow line villain monster, whatever you want to go ahead and call him, and his little gimmick is that rain follows him wherever he is, and at some point he basically realized that the rain that he caused so much darkness, so many people to be upset and to be sad and everything. And then one day, after the rain had stopped around him, he looked up and he saw a rainbow in the sky and decided to reform and change his ways, that he no longer wanted to bring darkness to people, and join the rainbow line. So there's so many good things about this. First of all, I love the idea of the rain following him wherever he is. The opening I really love in this episode, where he's just sitting there playing the harmonica as it rains. That opening should have been at least 2 minutes longer, I think. Very effective. Very good. I really like that. But the rain follows him around, and we get the rainbow, and I love the obvious symbolism that we have about the rainbows, the rainbow line, the significance of rain, and all that. Because the thing is that with what we have from the shadow line within the series is we have all these instances of grand scale darkness on some level. But something as simple as the rain not allowing a child to go outside and play to cause that darkness in their heart, that's brilliant, man. I love that. I just, there's something about that that's just really cool. And the fact that every time that we see this guy on screen, the rain is falling on just him the entire time. I didn't really like it when it was first introduced, but as the episode went on, it just worked so well. And I gotta say this, the guy playing Akira in here, I really, really feel bad for him, because I can just see him being on set for 12 hours, being just doused in rain from a couple of rain towers and all that. It's just, I feel so bad for him. It seems by the end of the episode that they're no longer doing that, which I can say, for one, I'm kind of upset they're not doing it, because I think that's a great aesthetic choice and something great to do. But for the actor's sake, I can see why they did it for the one episode. They're probably not going to go ahead and do it again. So that's good there. Now, there are a couple of questions about this, though, because one, it's predicated on the fact that he saw a rainbow after the rain ended. But the way the episode, it kind of leads us to believe that everywhere he goes, it rains no matter what. So I'm not quite sure why it stopped raining long enough for him to actually see a rainbow at the end. I mean, it seems that it's perpetual rain, that for as long as he's in the area, it is going to rain. It will not stop. And yet that's exactly what it did. I'm not exactly sure why that happened. Second, he decides to go ahead and defect to the rainbow line. And throughout the episode, both Conductor and Ticket state that they don't trust him because he's a former Shadow and they could not allow him on the train, but they allow him to work on the rail tracks. I would rather have him on the train than working on the railroad tracks, because you can have just the slightest error, the railing could be like half an inch out and you can cause a massive crash. So they trust him to work on the lines, but don't trust him to work on the train. Then again, what it could be is that, as we established in the previous episode, there are others on the rainbow line that probably put him into this position, put him in charge of it, and Conductor and Ticket just don't particularly agree with whoever their superiors are. That being said, I'd like to know, again, who put him in charge and so forth. I'd like to know who these superiors are. And, what was there was another thing that I can't remember, didn't particularly make a lot of sense. First of all, why is he able to change into a human form? Because as we see, Zet has a human form, but he's the Emperor of Darkness. I would assume that he has that. None of the other villains have been able to provide us with a human form. Back when we introduced the police rush, when the monster was, gathering all the jewels, you'd think he would have a human form so he can blend in inconspicuous. But they didn't have that here, but he's definitely got a human form to him. Something else I'd like to go ahead and mention that's kind of interesting is in the episodes when the Morpher is first shown, it's believed that we're going to get this new character, and again, it kind of sets that up with the opening montage and the way he approaches the hero's entrance. I love the use of the harmonica and the rain. Again, it's just brilliant the way that they use it. But it seems very obvious that the Conductor has these visions of him becoming the next ToQger, to where he does end up morphing in the episode. Unfortunately, some sort of glitch has caused Ticket to transform instead of him. Now, something that I find interesting about that, and this is something that really has never been brought up on in Power Rangers or Sentai, to my knowledge, is that, look at it this way. So we have the Green Lantern Corps in DC Comics. What's interesting about the Corps is that yeah, when Hal Jordan or Kyle Rayner puts on the ring, they get a suit fitting their bodies. But when another alien puts on the ring, a suit will fit their bodies and their unusual anatomy. So in this case, this is, I think, the first instance where we see somebody morph and it fits their anatomy appropriately. Now think back for a second to SPD and Deca Ranger. Anubis in both iterations has this big muzzle of a head, but when he morphs, it's a humanoid head. Even the Alien Rangers, whose heads are literally bigger than their helmets, kind of shrink down to the normal, head size of a human for the helmet. And I never liked that. I always thought it was a big cheat. But this is the first case where it actually conforms to the life form or being that it is actually morphing. Imagine this for a second, because this is where I've always had problems with it. If anybody's ever read the Animorphs, you have an Andalite race in the series, and the Andalites, basically centaurs with giant bladed tails and stalk eyes. If you had done this morphing, 10 years ago on an Andalite, chances are he'd be a humanoid figure. But this sets a precedent. If we do have aliens in the future and they do morph, it will conform to whatever their species is, because I think they kind of get wise to that now. Now, if we have Deca Ranger again, is the ToQger character going to go ahead and have a muzzle on his helmet? Likely not, but I think it's something that with technology, prosthetics, and maybe a bigger budget that they can now work to overcome, to where that's not something this could be kind of an issue in the future, and maybe we'll get more aliens and it'll be more like that Green Lantern Corps. So I like Akira for almost the same reasons I kind of like Zet. The problem I'm having with the ToQger this far into the series is that they're all they're really kind of bland, to be quite honest. There isn't much that's too interesting about them. And when you bring in these characters like Zet and Akira, who are dark, who are brooding, who are a little bit more serious, then it's a big juxtaposition to our lighthearted, happy characters. And I kind of take offense to that in some aspects of this episode. The thing about this episode is it's played pretty straightforward and very serious, but there are parts to where you hear the goofy music playing, you're like, ugh, why'd they do that? Such as at the end, Akira, he faints to the ground and he thinks he dies. He's in this white negative space and he believes he's gone to heaven. And then he realizes that there's no way I'm going to heaven, this must be hell. And then the background turns all dark. And he kind of reaches out. And reaching out to what? I'm not exactly sure. But when he reaches out and we cut away, he's grabbed Takachi's face and the goofy music plays. Oh, you're not dead, blah, 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 and stuff. I don't particularly like that, because that's a scene that needs to be played straightforward with seriousness. And granted, I know the series that we're in with ToQger, but that's something that should be very somber. The man that thinks he dies only to get maybe a second chance, and then you kind of play it up for laughs. I didn't really like that. I really think that they should have been a little bit more serious with a lot of these beats within the episode. So there are a number of things there that I just didn't like in that regard. And again, I almost kind of wish it was raining out through the entire thing instead of just around Akira. That maybe what precipitated this episode was the darkness of the rain, and how Akira's kind of tied into that a little bit. A couple of other things. Zet does something to right at the beginning of the episode where the attack happens and his hand grabs him and doesn't really do anything. I'm not sure what that is, but hopefully that'll play in. Schwartz, again, has his plan going on, which we don't have much information about, but it seems that Akira was part of it at some point, to where I think what it is that Schwartz is trying to eliminate him so that, there are no witnesses or whatever the case is, or, he seems like there might be a personal vendetta in this. So what Schwartz's business with Akira is, other than his betraying him to the Rainbow Line, that's something that I think we need to keep an eye on, basically. So yeah, that's kind of the thing about the episode is that, again, there's not much of a plot to talk about, but there's an interesting new character in here that I certainly want to learn more about. Because, again, everybody who's not the ToQgers is much more interesting than the ToQgers themselves. I got to be honest about that. So I want to see more of him. I want to see more of the Emperor. I want to see what's going on with these characters. Oh, now I remember what I forgot to say. Here's something else to point out. So this episode basically establishes that you can be a member of the Shadow Line, born from darkness, yada yada, whatever, and that you can convert to the Rainbow Line and be good, which is apparent with Akira being new ToQger. So I wonder if that is foreshadowing what may happen with Zet. Because again, it is my belief that Zet is... He's probably not going to become a ToQger because, again, I haven't heard any information about new ToQger. But Zet could defect, Schwartz could take over, the Baron could take over, somebody else can take over, and then Zet could be part of the good guys because now we have a precedent for that. And what we may get within the series is a parallel between Zet and Akira. That we have these two characters that are alike, both part of the darkness, and then change over to the light, and maybe Akira along with Wright are the ones who convince Zet to come over, saying yes, you can come over to the light, it is possible. And then we get that last 3 or 4 episodes of the series where the minor villains take over and so forth and so forth. I mean, if you could have characters like Rio who've done far worse than what Zet has done, then I don't see why you can't bring Zed over. And is that wish fulfillment? Possibly, but there is something about this character that tells me that he's going to be allied with the good guys somewhere down the line. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. That's the fun of finding out, but I think this episode does set that precedent for that happening. Oh, and again, one other thing. Again, I'm just kind of all over the place right here because, again, I'm just enjoying the episode so much. Why is Akira the first one we've seen in 17 episodes maintaining the line? Because it's brand new information to both the ToQger and the audience, but the ticket and the conductor are like, oh, they've always, there are people taking care of the line. And I'm like, really? Why haven't we seen anybody else? Because it's been up to this point, or really up to last episode, that they are alone in this endeavor. That the only person they have to turn to for guidance, assistance, whatever, is the conductor, and by extension, ticket and wagon. But now it seems like that there may be a larger infrastructure here, that maybe we'll find the Rainbow Station, the good guy station, later within the series. That there is this larger network, but for some reason these guys are kind of cut off from additional support, which I find odd. But it can be tied into what's going on to ToQger and their memories and so forth. So definitely be something interesting to keep an eye out for later episodes. But again, just to end this, very good episode. I really enjoyed it. I just wish that a lot of the darker and moodier elements lasted longer within the series. And right now, I'm very interested to hear about Akira a lot more and see more episodes regarding him. But if they can actually put some, personality in some ToQger, then I would like to see that too. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for listening. Have a good evening. And the tavern is now closed.